What's going on, guys? My name is Syph, and today I'm going to be building the Lego Mario Kart 1972 piece set. And also during this video, telling you how I live streamed for 15 years full time, and I had to stop because I was so burnt out. Now, before I go into the rest of why this happened, this is something new that I'm doing. I never really was a YouTuber, and very rarely did I upload YouTube videos. So this is a new channel that I sort of started launching, and I want to start putting my Lego builds, collectibles, things I like to do with my car and my truck, and other goofy things I like to do in my life. So if you guys would, it would be really awesome if you hit the like button on this video and also subscribe. Also, it doesn't just help me, but there's probably a lot of other people who are making YouTube videos out there that want to make content just like this. And by liking my video and subscribing to my channel, it actually starts recommending other people who are trying to make videos as well that might be new or maybe making videos just like this. And with that, let's get into why I made this video. I have been a live streamer for about 15 years now. Since around 2011, I have been streaming full-time as a career. Now, by full-time, I mean that my entire income was based solely on live streaming. Now, when you ask, how much money does it take to do that? How much money was this person making back in 2011 so they could do this full-time? I was very, very poor before all of this. So I didn't have a lot of expenses. I lived very, very well below my means and didn't have a lot of costs. So when I started streaming full-time, I had the support of family and friends and people that were supportive of the idea that I had of becoming a full-time live streamer. And back in 2011, there weren't that many of those people around. In order to be a full-time live streamer back in 2011, it took great risk. You had to have people that stood behind you, that helped you, and that were basically able to keep you going so that you could actually pursue this as a job. While you're live streaming back in these days, very few people made any money whatsoever. So it was about putting as much content out as possible and being live as long as possible. And when I started, I streamed around 6 hours a day, 6 days a week, for about the first 2 years. And then I realized that I needed to amp it up a little bit more and started streaming around 8 to 12 hours a day, 6 days a week. Now, this is in no means a suggestion for anyone. Before I go any further in this video, this is not something that you should ever feel that you need to do, that you should do. I'm just relaying what I did back then to get to where I was. So before anyone starts going, oh my goodness, in order to be a live streamer, you have to stream 12 hours a day. That is not true. That is not the case. But at the time, with my circumstance, this is what I needed to do to get my name out there. Going forward, around 2015-16, I had signed a deal with a streaming service that you guys may remember called Mixer. Mixer was a streaming service that used to be called Beam, but was changed to the name Mixer when Microsoft purchased it for a large amount of money. During this time, they were going to Twitch and looking over content creators and offering them paid contracts to go to their platform and stream. And I was the first. They approached me first and asked me if I wanted to go to their platform, exclusively make content there, and in return, they would compensate me while my audience grew. Now, what I mean by that is they decided that live streamers make their money by getting subscriptions, ad revenue, and sponsorships. And by having a content creator go to their new platform that didn't have that many viewers and not that many opportunities for sponsorships, they were basically offering me money, a flat rate, if you would say, to pay me to make content on this platform to compensate for the fact that I wouldn't have as much exposure, I wouldn't have as many subscribers, I wouldn't have as many donations while the platform started growing. And with that, I actually took a huge leap of faith on that one because, yes, initially it was, for me, life-changing money. This was money that I didn't think I would ever make as a live content creator. This was money that people that were much larger than me were already making, and I had got to basically skip the step of having a huge audience and get paid like I was. The risky part is that I didn't know how long this was going to last. This was only a 1-year contract at the time, and I wasn't guaranteed that this was going to go on any further. So with that, I decided to make the best of it, take the contract, go to Mixer, and start making content. Luckily for me, Mixer started growing, and with that, so did I. I actually started averaging around 30,000 followers a month organically, not through paid stuff through Microsoft, just people coming to my channel, up to a point where I was around 400,000 followers. Now, during this time came a ton of opportunities. I was given sponsorship opportunities with multiple companies. I was given appearances on television shows, advertisements for different things, and I was even put in the booklet of the Xbox One when it first came out. Now, with that comes where I started getting a little tired. About 3 years into this deal, yes, the contract got renewed and renewed again, and sometimes the contract even got higher in pay. About 3 years into it, I was starting to get a little tired. Now, granted, this is years before it is now, about 7 to 8 years before where we are right now, and even then I started getting tired. By that, what I mean is that my contract actually stated that I needed to be live a certain amount of hours per month to basically satisfy the requirements of their contract. And at the time, I was doing a lot of brand deals, I was going to a lot of gaming events, I was doing a lot of appearances at places, and I still had to cram the hours of streaming into my schedule. So basically, I streamed between 8 and 11 hours per day, a minimum of 6 days a week during this 3-year process. Now, if I left and went to an event for 3 or 4 days, I would have to live stream while I'm at the event, or live stream while I'm at the event and make up the extra hours when I came back. And with that became a little bit daunting for me. Not in a negative way, not that I didn't enjoy what I was doing, but keep in mind, as a live streamer, you turn a camera on and it's just you and the camera having to talk, entertain, engage with your audience, and play a video game, sometimes at the same time, most of the time at the same time, as far as my content was concerned. And with that, after a long period of time, you just run out of things to say, or you run out of creative things to get involved in, or the game that you might be playing for years and years and years just starts to get kind of boring to you. And at the time, Fortnite was huge. I started getting really big into Fortnite. I started playing it like to a point where I was basically dreaming about the game half the time. But after a while, something that's basically a hobby turned into more of a job. And I think a lot of people can relate with stuff like that when it comes to something that you have a passion for becoming more work than it is fun. And when you're live, it's a little different than making a pre-recorded video. You don't get to stop and take a break or edit something down to the way you like it. You have to just kind of go on like you're doing improv constantly. And with that came a little bit of pressure, came a little bit of fatigue. But keep in mind, I didn't know how long this was going to last. I didn't know if next year I'm going to make $0. I've seen content creators go from being very, very famous to basically nothing by taking a break for a month. So I didn't want to risk that. I didn't want to risk my family having to be, financially hurt or anything. So I took every opportunity that I could. After about 3 years on Mixer, I signed a multi-year deal with Facebook. And Facebook did a number on me. Facebook, being the largest user database platform on the planet, was trying to bring up their live streaming program. And with that, they took a page out of Microsoft's book and started to recruit streamers. And with that, I decided to leverage my position with Mixer with a more lucrative contract with Facebook. Now, before you guys go, wow, you only did it for the money, keep in mind, Mixer shut down 3 months after I signed my deal. I had kind of already knew by talking to people that worked there and saw how things were being run that they were very close to just shutting down. Microsoft has a huge reputation for starting and launching a lot of projects soon and shutting them down without giving them a fair shot or if things are run poorly. And Microsoft started seeing a decline in overall viewership, mainly driven by poorly run management and the ability to market the company correctly and putting value in the creators they had, as opposed to continually buying new content. After that, I decided to take my growth, which was close to 400,000 followers, and take that to another platform. and Facebook was ready to take me. Facebook offered me more money, more opportunities, and more incentives. And at the time, I didn't see a problem with that. I wasn't a big Facebook user. I only had like 10 or 15,000 followers on Facebook and didn't really know what to do with it. But given the fact that they had a partnerships team in place, they said that they were going to be right there next to me if I needed any help at all, and they were there for the longevity, and Facebook had been around a lot longer than a streaming service by Microsoft, that they would be there to back me no matter what. So with that, I left Microsoft 3 months before Mixer shut down and went to Facebook. And Facebook had a platform called Facebook Gaming. And Facebook Gaming worked with creators to help them with live content, promote their live content to their user database on Facebook, and also help them with short form content like Reels. And with that came a large amount of growth as well. Organically, with my contract on Facebook, I was able to go from about 10 to 20,000 followers to about 50,000 followers in my first 3 months. With that though, came the pressure of continually making content. Facebook not only was pushing for people to make live content, but they also wanted you to make pre-recorded content and short form content when you weren't live, to the point where I was streaming 8 to 9 hours a day and then spending another 4 to 5 hours filming content, editing content, posting it, and engaging with my audience in Facebook groups and live streams. Now, before anyone thinks I'm going to put down Facebook and how they were run, which yes, it was not run very well, I do want to reiterate that Facebook still, to my belief, has an incredible opportunity for creators if it was done correctly. This is the only platform in the world where you could live stream, make video content when you're not live, make short form content like Instagram Reels and Facebook Reels that cross-posted each other, and then at the same time, post regular pictures, text posts, Facebook groups, and interact with your audience all over the world any time of the day in many different forms of content. And to me, when I started streaming there, I thought this was amazing. I thought this was a great way for not only myself, but my sponsors and potential opportunities to grow. About 3 years into that contract, they started to change. And when they started to change, so did the creators. And I may not speak for every creator that was on Facebook Gaming at the time, but they put an enormous amount of pressure and took a lot of weight and threw it on our backs and made us feel basically like we weren't good enough anymore on that platform. By that, I mean doing live streams where your followers couldn't even see your streams because of their algorithm, or getting banned by using music that was in a video game, or having content that was taken off of the site by scammers, people impersonating your profile, and just downright suppression of your content on a platform. When that happened, I started getting even more worn out and more burnt out. Keep in mind, I've been streaming every day, 6 days a week for about 10 years at this point. And I started to really get tired, but just wanted to keep making content because I loved what I did and I loved the people that were so supportive. In fact, at the time, I was giving away around $10,000 to $15,000 a month to my audience. I was pretty transparent about my Facebook contracts and Microsoft contracts and wanted to give away all the extra income that I was making through subscriptions and ad revenue. So people would subscribe to my channel or donate, and I would take that money and give it away to people and families and organizations live on stream. I was one of the few channels in the world that was actually not doing weird giveaways where you had to click on a weird link and you never got to see who won the product. I did live streams where I gave it right back to people in the stream live, and they would post pictures, and it just made me feel really good. But I would get off stream and my head would hurt. I would be extremely tired. I had been locked in a room for about 10 to 12 years at this point, and I was just so burnt out, but I kept pushing forward anyway. And with that came to a point where I just needed a break, but I didn't know how to take one, so I just kept making content. And when you make content and you're not feeling it and you're not really in the mood and you're just not feeling good, your content starts to suffer and your audience starts to suffer. And I don't blame my audience for that. I blame myself for not taking a break. I was so nervous about stopping and so trained and basically brainwashed myself into having to be live or I wasn't anything that I would force myself to go live, extremely exhausted, not in a good mood. And when you do that, your content starts to suffer. Your attitude starts to go down. You start to resent the fact that your channel is failing. You start to resent the fact that your audience isn't there. And the bad part about that is when you're a live streamer and you're doing that, it's live and people see it. In fact, to me, this is one of the most vulnerable videos I've ever made, or vulnerable things I've done in front of a camera, because I don't think a lot of people talk about this as being a content creator. So if you like videos like this, if you think this was an awesome idea, if you think this was a good idea, if you think it was a bad idea, honestly, I'd like to hear from you in the comments. So with that, I hope you guys appreciate this video. It'd be really awesome if you guys gave this a like and gave it a subscribe. I'm gonna do more videos here on YouTube where I show my collection, where I show things with my car, the fun I like with Legos. And I hope you guys have a great day. And thank you guys for taking the time to listen to me. And I hope to see you guys soon.